Let's start with a quick demo of the generative agents with Langchain and GPT 3.5 Turbo. At first, we get a title, Welcome to the Virtual World of Tommy and Eve, powered by GPT and Langchain. Tommy and Eve are virtual characters which are going to live throughout a day, and we can interact with them, for example, get their summary, interview them, or let them talk to one another. Here we got the daily events for Tommy. Total of 10 events, which we have specified. Tommy wakes up. Tommy gets out of bed. Tommy realizes he forgot to buy coffee. And at the end, getting too low, Tommy has to wait for an hour. Daily events for Eve is Eve wakes up, starts. Before bed, Eve spends time reading and learning. And at the end of start day one, we go through each event for each character and get their reactions to it. For example, Tommy wakes up to the sound of a noisy construction site outside of his window. Tommy's reaction to this is Tommy might feel anxious and annoyed by the noise outside. All the events and reactions are generated by GPT 3.5 Turbo. We did get a servers overloaded. We did get a rate error, but Langchain kept trying. We got the Eve's reaction to the first event, and then Tommy's reaction to the second event, Eve's reaction to the second event, right here. And after the 5 interactions of both characters interacting with their events, then we can interact with them. 5 events for each character has taken place. Now we can actually continue the day or just get the summary for both agents. Let's do that. As we see, we get the Tommy's summary, age 25, innate traits, and the same for Eve. And this is the Tommy's description. Tommy is a job seeker who values friendship, physical activity. And this summary gets updated as the day goes on. Same for Eve. We can also interview by clicking int, and we can select which character we want to interview. Let's select Eve. We can ask, how was your morning to Eve? Eve says, it was great. Thanks for asking. I had my usual morning routine. Even got to fit in a game of tennis before work, which she does with her friend in her description. We have defined it. We're going to take a look at that. Let's now quickly talk to Tommy. We can go quit, start an interview, this time with Tommy. Tommy had some issues with coffee. Let's just ask him that. We're going to ask what happened with coffee this morning. See up here in the daily events, Tommy realized that he forgot to buy coffee filters. That's why the coffee tasted bitter. So Tommy answers, I forgot to buy filters. After rummaging through my moving boxes, I finally found some, but coffee ended up tasting bitter. Yeah, so because he didn't buy a better brand. So as you see, we can quit and we can have them chat with each other. We can say, what should the first character say? This will be Tommy. We can say, how was your morning? And start a chat between Tommy and Eve about what had happened in the first half of the day. Eve says it was great. Thanks for asking. How about yours? Tommy says it was a bit frustrating because of the situation with coffee. Eve says, I'm sorry to hear that. So they're going to continue talking until this conversation auto quits. That is established by the class, which we're going to take a look at, the generative agent class, which Langchain documentation provides. So they ended the conversation. They said their goodbyes. And now we can actually say continue and continue with the rest of the day. Agents have gone on for the rest of their day. And then this is the end of day one. We're going to continue. We again get a chance to interact. So then, since we continue, we end the day one and then start the day two. Agents update with each event in the day and continue to update throughout the consecutive days as well. Here are the events for Tommy for day 2, and we will receive for Eve as well, and the simulation will continue. So let's take a look at what are generative agents and how we can implement them using Python, GPT, and Langchain. So in this code, we are replicating a portion of the ideas that were presented in this paper, Generative Agents, Interactive Simulacra of Human Behavior. The paper presents a much more complex scenario where dozens of characters actually live in a city and they interact with one another. I'll put the link to this paper in the description if you want to read about it. It's really fascinating. A basic tutorial application was provided by Langchain with a class which we're going to use. I'll put the link in the description. Let's take a look at a quick overview of what's taking place in our code. At first, we initialize both agents using the class that is provided. Then we get the events for the day for both agents, all of the events that is going to take place. Then the agents start living the day and get reactions to each event and take actions for both agents. And every so many event iterations, we can interact with the agents by getting their summary, interview them, or let them chat with one another. Then we go back and live the day. And at the end of the day, we generate next day's events, and we come back to this part, get the events for the day for both agents, and this cycle continues like this. I have drastically improved upon the documentation which was provided by Langchain. This is the class with the imports. The class hasn't changed, but this is the generative agent with compute agent summary method. The prompt is here. You can take a look, get topics of reflection, get insights on topics, pause to reflect, score memory importance, because we are using rated memory importance. We have an add memory method, fetch memories, get summary, get full header, get entity from observation, get entity action. I'll just quickly scroll through this. We are not using all methods for this application, but maybe in the future. So this is the class. Yeah, this class is available at the Langchain's documentation. We're going to start with the most basic file, which we update the agents, memories, and events manually. I will make this available to lower tier Patreon supporters. The link will be in the description. But we have the auto observation generating code as well, where the events of the day is generated automatically. So everything takes place automatically. This will be available at the higher tier of Patreon. I will put both links in the description. So we have our necessary imports. We are starting with the basic file. We have a lot of code to go through, so I'm not going to explain everything. We are importing the class from gen_agents file. Let me show you the files real quick right here. This was just the class object that we talked about a little bit earlier. We have to import the class right here, which we are doing, the generative agent from gen agents. We are defining our name. We are defining our chat model. We are using Faiss for vector database. We are defining a relevance score for retrieving the memories. So this is really interesting. Read through this. We are defining create new memory retriever, okay, using the OpenAI embeddings, using Faiss as our vector store. And right here, using the generative agent class, we are defining Tommy to be a 25-year-old with traits of anxiousness, and he likes design work. He's looking for a job, and then daily summaries that these are all manually inserted. Drove across state to move to a new town, but doesn't have a job yet. Okay, and there's the reflection threshold if you want to take a look into it. Now we can print the summary. As we see, the summary is that Tommy is age 25 with these traits, and unfortunately there are no statements provided because Tommy didn't have any experiences yet. However, we can add a memory to Tommy. Tommy moved to a new town and is looking for a job. Okay, and we can print Tommy's summary again. We do have to use force refresh true so that we get the memory updated, and when we run this, we see that Tommy's memory status is updated. The summary is updated with Tommy's currently in search of a job in a new town. For Tommy, we can also define a list of memories. Tommy's looking for a job. Tommy exercises every day. Tommy's favorite food is pizza, so on and so forth. And we can loop over those memories and add them to Tommy's memory, and then we can get a new summary. As we see, Tommy's summary has been updated. Tommy is a job seeker who's a good friend, enjoys playing video games, exercises daily, likes pizza. So these agents are updating, not in this file, not in real time, but they update automatically with their experiences and their memory. I just want to mention before going any further that we do have to install Faiss with Conda. I do have a tutorial video on how to get going with Conda and pip and everything. I'll put it in the description if you want to get up and going with building AI powered applications. These are the requirements which you have to pip install. I recommend you start with a new Conda environment with Python 3.8 and then install all these, Langchain, OpenAI, so on and so forth. We are not using Streamlit, but if you want to build a UI using Streamlit, you can use that too. We are defining an interview agent function, which allows us to talk with the Tommy agent, and we are defining a while loop to continually talk to it with this format. And when we run this, we can actually ask questions to Tommy. We ask, what is your favorite food? Tommy says, my favorite food is pizza, but right now I'm focused on finding a job. We can ask him another question because we are initiating this with a while loop. What do you like to do for fun? Tommy says, I really enjoy designing things, to express his creativity, which is correct as far as Tommy's persona is concerned. Tommy's persona and memories is dynamically updates as he gets more memories and events in his life. I have commented out loop to ask questions to Tommy. Now we are defining a whole day of observations for Tommy, starting from when Tommy wakes up to looking for a job to when he actually talks to a friend late at night. With this for loop, we can actually loop over the events in Tommy's day and actually get some observations and Tony's summary to those events as well. I'm sorry, Tony's summary of how he changes over time. 5 events have taken place. At this point, we're going to get a summary. Here is the summary after the 5 observations, and then Tommy's day will continue after this summary. As we see here, Tommy's day is continuing. Next, we have this while loop to interview Tommy after his day, but we're not going to run this, but it is available in the code. Next, we are defining another agent called Eve, another character, age 34, with certain traits and daily summaries. We are giving Eve some memories. I'm not sure what this line is for. Please let me know in the comments if you figure it out. After we give Eve we create a list of memories, we add those to Eve's memory, and then we're going to get Eve's summary. And when we do that, we get Eve is a helpful and active person who enjoys playing tennis and eating breakfast before work, which is all true. We can again interview Eve at this juncture. We're not going to do this now, but you can do it. Then we are defining a function to run a conversation between these agents. 4 agent and agents, which we will define as Tommy and Eve. We are going to generate the dialogue between the 2 of them until the dialogue breaks. This is done automatically by changing the break dialogue to true. And then all we have to do is just say run conversation, and then we have to input what we're starting it with what Tommy said. We have to give Tommy a message, and we can actually include as many or different memories as we like earlier in the code, and this will actually impact their conversation. So they start talking. At first he feels confused. Tommy tries to clarify himself. So they're automatically talking through this run conversation. And when they're done talking, when they say their goodbyes, this conversation will end. Their memories will be updated. Also, if you look at while they're talking right here, because the GPT server is slow right now, so we're going to have to wait, you can actually comment these lines, and after that, get the summary of both characters after their conversation, if you like. We're not going to do this now. And you can also uncomment this and actually initiate a interview event where actually we are asking which character you want to interview, and then you can continually talk to that character about the events and their events that have happened in their day and about themselves. See, Eve said that he's playing tennis with his friend and Tommy would like to join. Now they're making plans. So they made their plan to play on Sunday around 9 a.m. And after that, they're now saying their goodbyes. And after this time, this chat conversation will break. And this was the end of our review of the basic code. Like I said, this will be available. You can download it at Patreon. Now let's talk about the auto observation code, which the events are generated automatically. Let's review the auto observations code, in which we make a whole lot of improvements to the previous code. Number one thing is that we are importing term color colored here. This is just to be able to print into the terminal in a nice colorful manner. And the rest of our imports are presented here. We are still importing the generative agent class from the gen agent, which we have talked about. Most of the code is the same with the username LLM. We are importing Faiss, OpenAI typing, and time. And we are printing with colored welcome to the virtual world of Tommy and Eve in the green color, attributes as bold. We have the same function, relevance score. We have the same function, create new memory retriever. We are defining Timmy's characteristics. And I have left these in here, and I'm adding some memories to Tommy. This is entirely up to you. You can actually comment this out. It's totally up to you. We are adding these to Tommy's memory. We are defining the same function, interview agent, from before. We are defining Eve. We are defining Eve, some memories for Eve. We are defining the same run conversation function we have defined before. And now here is our new function, get daily events, with a character which takes in a character name argument. We are defining number of events for each day. So you can change this if you like. And then we say if character name is Tommy, then we say the character name summary is Tommy, because we have to get these objects, right? We are defining the Eve object and the Tommy object up here from this class. Otherwise, the character name is only a string. Anyway, then we are creating a system message and a user message prompt for GPT 3.5. System message says you generate a Python list of daily events for a character. Return exactly the number of events in the list, 10 events in our case. Then we write a user message which says generate a list of exactly, in this case 10 daily events sequentially for the whole day for whatever the character with history, and we give the character's history by the dot get summary force refresh true. Then we give a sample output by obscuring the character's name. We just give how we want the output to look like. We are just one-shotting it, and here I have some sample, and then I give additional instructions. You won't repeat the sample events in the output, just to make sure. Change the character in the sample output to the name of the character. Don't include anything else in your response except only the Python list, and then I should include exactly the number of events which we have defined up here, in this case 10 for each day. Then we are making a call to OpenAI's GPT 3.5 Turbo with those messages which we have defined right here, up here. Then we get the daily event text, and then we assign to daily events the eval of it. Eval is a method or function from the list which we are importing from typing, which helps us make sure that even if GPT 3.5 Turbo returns not only just the list as we have specified, but adds additional explanations or something like that, this eval really allows us to parse the list out of that. And when we assign this to daily events, then daily events is our list of daily events. And then we are printing in color daily events for character in green, and then we enumerate the daily events, and then we printed the event number 1 for character name in blue, and then we sleep for a little bit. We did import the time library, and then we print a space, a new line character, so not everything is just on top of one another, and we print some star symbol 40 times just to create some separation, and then we return those daily events from this function. Then we get the daily events for both characters, Tommy's daily events and then Eve's daily events. You can print these if you like by uncommenting this. So next we're doing a quick check. Even though we have prompted in our prompt set that the model should exactly return the number of events which we have specified, it sometimes fails to do that. So we check the length of Tommy's daily events versus Eve's daily events. If the number of events in each list doesn't match, we make sure to do that with this check. Then we print this number of daily events for Tommy are not equal. Then we check if whichever one is more, then we pop the second element off of that list, or vice versa from the other one, until they are even. So now that we have exactly the same number of events for both. Then we initialize our observation count for the daily events. We're going to start from 0, and we initialize our day to the first day. Then we create a loop while true, and then we print the colored start of day, green, and then we print the day. It's going to be the first day, right? Then we enumerate over the daily events, and then we print the daily event, which is the observation. They just called it observation in this implementation, and then the reaction. And we do the same for both Tommy and Eve, and then we increase the observation count and move on to the next observation. Next, we are defining a checkpoint to interact with the agents. I just here set it to 5. We do a modulus. If the observation count divided, every 5th observation, we start another while loop, and then we ask the user whether to continue to get a summary, to chat, or to interview with the agents. Then we just check for whatever the input is. If it is S, then we get both Tommy's and Eve's summary with the force refresh true. If it is chat, Then we actually create a conversation starter with what Tommy has said to Eve, and then we actually get that from the user with the input, and then we just run the conversation with the function we have defined. If it is C, we break out of this and continue the daily events. If it is int, we start the interview procedure and we enter another while loop, and then we ask the user which character they want to interview, Tommy or Eve, or quit to go back to the main menu. Then if it is quit, we break. If not, we ask Tommy, or if it's not Tommy or Eve, or quit, right? We want to say there's an invalid character so that we can ask again to the user to enter the either TE for Tommy or Eve. And if it is T, then we ask what question you want to ask to Tommy. And then if it is, and then we print Tommy's answer. And then this continues until the user quits. If it is E, then we get what questions you want to ask to Eve from the user. And then we print Eve's answer. And if at any point in time Q, then we try to break out of it. The final Q doesn't work. You can use Control-C to break out of the main loop. But this is it. I hope you'll find this code useful. I think this is a lot of fun. Like I said, this more advanced auto-observation code will be available for higher tier Patreon supporters. I'll put the link in the description. Now let's just run this as a final demo and see what happens. I have limited the agents to 4 events per day, so we can just see it quickly, iterate over the entire day quickly. I also have made sure that we only try to interact with the agents every 50 times. We're just not going to interact. We're just going to watch what happens. Here we get the daily events for Tommy and the daily events for Eve, and we are starting the day 1. Here we are going through the day, Tommy, and then Tommy's events and Tommy's reactions to those events, Eve's events and Eve's reaction, one by one. We have ended the first day. Now they are starting their day 2. Remember, their memories and their summaries all have been updated with all these events. And now these are the new events. These are for Tommy. These are for Eve. And the day 2 begins. Now they're going to live their day, and their memories and their summaries are going to get updated. I hope you enjoy this video. Maybe I'll improve on this furthermore. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please join us in the Discord if you like to discuss AI, large language models, and building applications and coding in general. And see you in the next one. Take care.